Welcome back to Wolf Guitars and Gear, where we help you get fat tones from a skinny wallet. And today I've got a confession to make. I did something I never thought I would ever do, and so it's time to come clean and share what I've done with all of you. As you may know if you followed this channel for a long period of time, I'm very much an old school tube amp guy. I think that's really where you're going to get your best tones. I mean, there's just a lot to be said for that interaction of a guitar with loud volume coming from a speaker, pushing tubes. I don't know, it's just what I have grown up doing. It's what I love. I think it's the most organic way to really experience guitar for all that it is. And there's just something about that experience of pushing that air and that interaction of the amp and the guitar and the player, all three of those working together to create a sound is something extremely magical. And that's really what rock and roll's all about. So to me, that's super cool and that's super important. But at this particular stage in my life, I'm living in a very small apartment. It's probably a total of probably no more than 600 square feet, and I'm living in here with my wife and my two kids. And being in an apartment, I don't really have an opportunity to use my amps the way I'd like, because obviously I have neighbors that probably don't appreciate that, and so that's kind of pushed me into some other options. And so I've long been a critic of the digital world and the modeling that's out there, in particular of the Helix. And a lot of that comes from my own personal experience with the Helix. I sat down, a buddy of mine got one, I went over to his house and we spent all evening trying to get one sound to work. And it really wasn't even anything that crazy, but it just was such a pain in the butt, to be completely frank. At the end of the night, I mean, it sounded okay, but after spending hours and hours tweaking this one preset, it just wasn't there. It wasn't good. The experience, it wasn't very intuitive trying to use the editor on there to try to make something work. I just had a really bad experience. And then, like I said, the tones were never quite there. Now, I've heard other people use it to great effect and have it come across sounding very good and having it sound very much like the amps that it's trying to emulate. So I'm not trying to say that the Helix isn't good. It just wasn't good for me, to be completely blunt. And I think that just like anything on the internet, it has its own set of fanboys that are extremely zealous in promoting it as the option. And I'm the type of person that I go against the grain, and that kind of thing really makes me not like it all that much more. And so that, combined with my own personal experience with it not being that great and not being that user friendly for me, is kind of where a lot of that comes from. And so I've done some other videos in the past explaining some of the limitations and some of the things with some items like Helix that I don't really enjoy. However, like I said, based on the fact that I can't really use my amps right now, and I still really want to play, and then a lot of the places that I'm having opportunities to play these days are requiring a silent stage. They're not allowing you to bring a physical amp there, and that is a discussion for another time, because I really dislike that concept. But at any rate, it did drive me into this rabbit hole, and I did get the Walrus ACS1, and I've done some videos showing that and what it can do, and it's a remarkable box. It does a lot of things well, but I also have some negative thoughts on it, and I'll probably do another video and share my thoughts on that again here now that I've had it for a while and have had a chance to use it more, what I really think of that. So that really got me looking for some other things to correct some of the issues that I was having there. And what I finally came up with, since I knew I did not want a Helix, is I went ahead and I got a Fractal FM3. And this little thing here is phenomenal. That's right, I love this thing. This thing is epic. I've actually used this now on several videos for the audio, running it direct. I don't know if you guys have noticed an increase in the quality of some of the guitar tones lately, but it's been coming from this over the last several videos. Some presets are working better than others. I'm still dialing some of them in a little bit better, but some of these are just out of the world. Like the ability, especially the feel of the amp, is one of the things I really love here, that when you have that touch sensitivity to your playing, you dig in, that it responds with more overdrive and more grit, and then when you back off, it cleans up. When you use your volume knob, it cleans up just like a real amp should. These things are important to me as a player to really maintain that feel of a tube amp, and it does it better than anything I've ever experienced in my life. Now, I haven't used things like the neural quad cortex. I haven't had a chance to do that. I have not had an opportunity to try a Kemper. I've heard that their amp modeling is phenomenal, but I also know that a lot of huge names out there, such as Metallica and other big names, are going right to Fractal. It's right up there with the best amp modeling technology that's out there, and I can see why. I am completely sold. I am a convert to this based on my own experience, both live and using it at home. I would firmly back this up. I mean, this is really technically their entry that's supposed to compete with the HX Stomp. Stomp has got nothing. This thing blows it away, just hands down, just straight out of the water. I've heard a lot of people talk about limitations with their HX Stomp and its CPU abilities, in and out abilities, just different limitations there, not to mention how hard it is to use the editor on the Stomp without an external computer. This thing, 10 minutes, I had a complete patch set up, no external anything. It's so intuitive. It's just like laying out your layout on a pedal board. Here's your in, here's your out. Everything is right in order, plain as day. I mean, you even have the ability to cable everything like you would in an actual pedal board. So it's extremely intuitive in that sense. And if you've come from like the world of channel switching amps, a lot of that really plays right into the way this works here too. And really, I think that's what they built everything on, was that amp technology. And so I can't recommend Fractal highly enough. This FM3 is phenomenal. I'm also upgrading at this point now that I've had this for a few weeks. I'm going to be upgrading. So if you're interested in this particular product, there is going to be a link in the description that you can click over to my Reverb store to pick this exact unit up. I'll leave my presets on there because I think some of them are just out of this world great, and in future videos I will dive in a little bit more and show you some of those presets. But today I just kind of wanted to give you a quick overview of this thing and show you what it can do. So just real quick, here is the back panel. As you can see, it's got full MIDI capability, takes a standard computer style power cord. You've got USB connectivity when you connect it up to your laptop or your computer to be able to use the FM3 editor on there. You've got the FastLink connector that you can use to connect up to 2 external foot switch controllers on there. You've got stereo loop in and out. You've got pedals here that you can use for expression pedals, very useful. And then you've got stereo XLR outs. You've got a headphones out, and you got your in here. So this is simple as it gets really there, but it's super functional, does everything you could really ask for. So that's really it for this week on Wolf Guitars and Gear. I just wanted to give you, like I said, a quick overview of this product. I will say that you know, I've done several videos also on the Strymon Timeline and the Strymon Big Sky. Huge fan of those products. They really fit the sound I have that I really like. And I will say that this FM3 is right on par with them. Every sound that I get out of my Big Sky and my Timeline that I love is available right here. So I know that most people would not consider a $1,100 modeler like this to be budget gear. But let me give you just a little bit of perspective. It is a lot of money to shell out all at once, no doubt about that. But like I said, number one, I want to guarantee you that the quality is there. Number two, let's look at some of the amps that I have. I've got a Mesa, That amp alone, just the head, was $2,400, not to mention the 4x12 speaker cab that you have to use with it. I've got 2 other amps here, and each one of those, again, we're talking $500-600 a piece. So right there, I've got thousands of dollars worth of amps for 2 or 3. I've got 200 plus in this that sound phenomenal, of every available flavor for a fraction of the cost. In addition, like I said, those effects rival the Strymons, which each of those, like I said, if you were to go out and buy, each of the Strymons new, the Timeline and the Big Sky alone, you're going to be looking at laying down about $900 easy, if not more. So to spend $200 more and have all those amps on top of it, phenomenal. On top of that, it has the ability to do multi-head delay. So if you're into the Volante as well as the Timeline, you have that ability. I mean, you've got so many great things in this. I just can't speak highly enough of it. And so really, I mean, if you break it down, $1,100 for one of these FM3s. That's really the essentially you're looking at 11 pedals. If you look at your average guitar pedal as $100, that's even it. You'd be spending more than that on most of them. I mean, really anymore, you're spending $150 to $200 on most of them if you're getting a decent quality pedal. So you break that down. I mean, what is that? 6 pedals then? If you're spending $200 a piece on them, I mean, the math is there. It really does make a lot of budget sense for portability factor, for reliability factor. It just makes a ton of sense in today's day and age, I think, to go this route. Is it still? Am I still going to keep my amps now that I have this? Right now I'm planning to, because I still, like I said, I really do love tube amps, and I have it, and I'm in a spot where I don't have to sell them. So for now, I'm going to hang on to them. Who knows? A year or 2 years down the line, I may be using this thing solely and just decide I don't want to even have my tube amps anymore. They're just taking up too much room, and I may sell them. Who knows? But I just wanted to be upfront with you guys and not let the price be a deterrent, because again, anything that you want, whether it's guitar gear or whether it's something else, I would encourage you to use budgeting and find a way to do it. You'd be surprised at how quickly that you can come up with the money if you really, really wanted to. I mean, if it was really your goal to do this and all you could do was spare $5 a day, most people spend that on their lunch. So if you just take your work week, five days a week at work, times your $5 a day for lunch, that's $25 a week, times 4 weeks in the month, that's $100 a month. So within a year, you could have saved up easily enough to get one of these. So it really just boils down to your own priorities and how you want to approach these things. I do think that it makes a lot of sense, and I would highly encourage you to go down that road. So obviously, like I said, I know this can be a polarizing issue, whether you're just strictly an amps guy like I have always been my whole life, whether you're just a Helix boy and maybe you're getting offended that I think that the Fractal stuff is better. I'm sorry, it is. Don't hate me for that, but let me know in the comments what you think. Maybe you're a Kemper guy too. I would love to try one of those one day just to compare and see. But at any rate, that's it for this week on Wolf Guitars and Gear. Hit like on the video, hit share, and like I said, let me know in your comments what you think, whether this is something you would ever consider. So we'll see you next time here on Wolf Guitars and Gear, where we help you get fat tones from a skinny wallet.